How do? Today, I'm going to talk about a few things. Second class sickness, psychological depression of our times. Right, so today, right, what we all are in realisation actually are kings and kings and queens and queens. Right, sons and daughters, that is Prajuma Prajuma, the high priests and priestesses. Prajuma Prajuma being the actual name of basically the expansion around which is the real name for Christianity, Vedically. Right? That's where we're really at. That's who we really are. See, that's the first class, the Brahman class. See, what we're under is a second class rulership. See, it's a second class sickness. See, they're not the full picnic. See, so at some point having second class duties, as in like emergency services, security, and military of air, land, and sea, but not having second class Raja, kings, and queens systems. All hands, no head, as the hands are represented by being Kshatriya, second class. Right? And what you really need, basically, for ourselves is basically a kings of kings system. Because what they've created here, basically, as usually as all kings do, is second class systems. It was an ebb state economy. So we're in the lowest ebb state of a yuga of a time called Kali Yuga. So at the moment they call it Satan's season, which is a subterranean metropolis system that we're actually on an earth layered sort of like caked system of time where they basically brutalise an economy and the buildings as a reflection, smoke screen and mirrors, how it's all constructed. See, over the top of basically the old world that we used to live in, being Tartaria, where it's basically like frequently sort of like made through sound, bright vibration, and interior craft and architecture that other people have done phenomenal work on. As we know, you could watch them and they just go on about it and then some, which I sit back and watch myself, you know what I mean? But see, our problem is we're in this ebb state economy of a Kali Yuga, and where we need to get into is a flow state, a Krita Yuga economy, and the only way to do that is by not voting. It's at 51%. See, everything at the moment is corruption, you know what I mean? Like the chemtrailing everything to block the sun out so we're not getting a daily receivement of vitamin D and all the benefits we get from the sunlight, from the blocking it out of sunlight. When the grey days are grey, that's nature. That's all right. It's supposed to do that. It's a balance between the earth and the sun and the clouds and the wind, basically communicating to keep things naturally. What we don't need is subterranean interference of second class systems basically interfering even more to keep the sun out for the name of net zero. It's not probably net zero, it's probably basically just blocking out the sun for our own self to keep everything a very dark world. You know, it's almost like Harkonnen's brutalist system, or Villeneuve's version of it, you know, lack of vitamin D, and they're all bald, they've got no hair, you know, they all look grey and white, you see. Brutalist systems that we're in now, like a Harkonnen system. See, this is what we're in. See, before it's all sound technology. Going with Lynch's Juniverse, Lynch's version, not the actual what Frank Herbert wrote, was more like using sound technology, which Tartaria was made from, and the frequency-born world of ether and everything else. Now, how free it actually was, actually, in the sense of people actually still paying money for all these things, we don't know. I don't know any more further in the proof, and that's still to be looked at and studied, right? But I mean, free energy is all free energy if you remove money, which is Kavera, see, which is the monetary system, Lord. And we need to get back basically removing. I know I'm talking a lot of tongues at the moment, or different facts and fictions of Veda, but that's what I do, right? Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things going on here. Basically, there's the chemtrailing stuff, as I say, instead of blocking out a sun receivement. And what we could have basically is back into big agriculture is basically the earth battery from copper and zinc, what they used to have, rather than NPK that they're using at the moment. You see, to profiteer out of a yearly subscription rather than having one big like earth battery, and agriculture grows double. That's what it used to be. And there's a guy called, was it Alexander Bain, made that in about the 1841, right? So I mean, this is where the things we need to get back to, part of the flow state economy. Don't you think? I think so. Anyone with a right mind would think so. You know, to have a non-monetary system, who cares? I mean, everybody ends up, when the axe comes down in the non-monetary system, the poor will be poor in capacity of volume and storage, like myself, and the rich will be rich in capacity of volume and storage when you take all their £1 billion of what they're worth. So, well, you're just rich in capacity of volume and storage, you've got a mansion or two. So that's a lot of stuff you can fill your house up with. As much as I can only fill myself up with like a 1-bedroom flat's worth, or, you know, you're a 5-bedroom house, 6-bedroom house at most in this, you know, world, you know, for your family, you know. So this is where we got to kind of like get back to in a logical, heavenly, like economic thinking of our time. Do you think? I think so. It's about time it come around. We're not that far away from it. Another 50 years. What I say, by just reading the trend of our times, of the voting system, it's going to come down to these things. We're only 5 million people away in this country, but becoming 51%. That could be 2 general elections. It could be 10, 50 years at most. But reading the trend, the report of reality, what we're in, as me, the non-voter, the 19 million registered. It only takes 5 more million people not to vote, who are voting as registered voters, to join us as the 19 million, and you just hit 51%. So we're not too far around. And then what happens? You see, and it's coming. So get ready. You're already in the shit hit the fan system of time anyway. This is as worse as it gets. And from then on, it can only get better. What people got to do is signing themselves up to fight for these countries. Sort of being basically like, used as a goon, basically, just to basically smash another fucking human man, basically, in another country to the name of some king's own basically profiteering, and just stop allowing yourself to be that person, see, and being used like that, Another thing to talk about is another problem we've got is big pharma. That's another thing that goes on in this world. Basically, it's a dragonese philosophy, is what I'll call it. For their psychology and their psychiatric drug distribution, which it is. See, and all these oppressional labels of big pharma, I interpret, for example, schizophrenia. Right, to me means ghost possession of the deceased. You might have attached to yourself, or called attachment, or they're living amongst yourself, or you might be really unfortunate, you have a bit of both. See, but it does happen. Being schizophrenic. See, that's what it means to me, not what they try and call you. All these other dragonese language they put over it. That's what it basically pretty much is, as a ghost attachment. I would put it down to, I'd say ADHD, Asperger's and autism. It's really just adolescents' growing pains. Being awkward teenagers growing up. They just basically cashed in and labelled that and made it just so they can get you on drugs and give you a name and a label. But you'll grow up and you'll get over it, you come over, you get better, you mature. It's all part of life, and they just basically cashed in on that and use all these flashy dragonese languages. Another one, bipolar. Usually can also mean adulterous, married with a mistress, or a woman basically married a woman in a paramour, adulterous partner behind each other's backs. See, not the best for so-called both worlds, but really it's just adultery, rather than just not marrying in the first place and seeing 2 people in the resurrection of a free love, living like the angels, Prajuma, high priest and priestess thinking. You see, but seeing all these things here as a big pharma, it's basically so they can stick you and be their customer on subscription, taking the daily dose of the medication and psychotropics they're trying to give you. You see? So there's all these things to counter in industry. So when you talk about coming away from this world, is understanding how to come away from this world pragmatically. What is coming away from this world? It's this world's institution that's trying to profiteer out of you. You see? And understand what it is. Marriage for one thing, as a person, I don't marry myself, that trying to make money from how much money you pay to be married and then divorce if you divorce. Medication, they're making money out of you. There's all institutions trying to birth certificate your children rather than just getting in the first estate a medical record, which goes with the first estate processing rather than the medical record of a second class, instead of the second class birth certification. You see, the second class, basically snatching your child, like the little child snatchers, this is what they're doing. See, these are some of the institutions to understand, to be wily enough to how to come away from this world, to be dead to this world. Don't vote on voting day, don't cross over that threshold and give them your ballot paper. Stay strong in your own sovereignty. You see, so you sever the creeper when the ballot paper's through your door for you to go down to the ballot station. You don't, you just sever and stick it in the bin. Now these are the things you need to look out for in street savviness in our times. So stop staying deinstitutionalised. The whole world without having to be in the world between each other, without having to go through this institutionalised, I can't even say it, institutionalised, going through these systems, right, and all their buildings basically to live. If you've got some goals in your life that you're supposed to be living into, right? That's rather than not. Saying detached from this world yet fully engaged. You can do that. That's the challenge. That's the real rebellion. When it talks about was it Marley and basically the Whalers are talking about, you know, chant down Babylon. So how do you chant down Babylon actually? You see what I mean? What is the actual formula to chanting down Babylon? Don't vote. Yeah, was help, you know. Stay deinstitutionalised. Oh, I said it, got it right. As I said, all the mentioned above, industry is what I'm talking about, right? That's what you could do. You see, step one is not to vote. Then we say we want to become a neutral country. Yeah, from what we're in. So the white helmet, our military worldwide, every tribe, country, you know, regardless of religion and what they are, just basically do that. You know, become non-monetary. It's the third step. Clearing all debts, consolidating all housing into the first estate. You see, this is the thing, you know, all industries in the first estate, all housing in the first, so hospitalisation in the first estate. You see what I mean? It's not private anymore. There's not NHS. There's just first estate. You know. Then step 4, you put this 39-13 natural seasonal rostering template in. So you're 13 weeks by 4 people. Most people in jobs, you're getting 39 weeks back to yourself, which is your pastime, your leela, spiritually, which is what part of the Krita Yuga for the working class man and woman really was. See, this is what we can do. And then, you know, the 5th step, basically being now what is reviewing what is legal. Now it's non-monetary system. See, this is how you beat the pyramid system. See, look, remember this, one of the old ones that found it, like my origami, the 5's the theory side, don't vote, become neutral, become non-monetary, enable the timeshare template, as I call it then, or the national seasonal template, working roster, 39-13, and 5, reviewing what is now legal at the bottom of the base of our system, you see. Good job. Oh man, done. That's all we've got to do here. I'll leave it at that. Have a nice day, folks. See you later.